Welcome to the very first episode of Panthera Unleashed. I'm your host, Jason Panthera, and this show is about cutting through the noise and asking the big questions nobody else wants to touch. Today we're tackling a question that's been on everybody's mind. How did we get in this political mess that we're in right now? I can tell you, but I need you to do something for me first. I need you to go in your bathroom. I need you to look in the mirror. Tell me what you see. There's an old saying, the mirror's truth never lies. That guy staring at you, you're to blame. Your apathy let folks with deep pockets and their own self-interest take control. While you turned out, they tuned in. While we were silent, they were writing the rules. And now we're all living in a system that works for them, not for the rest of us. Apathy is one of the most dangerous forces in politics. I didn't just read that in a book, I saw it up close. When I first cut my teeth in politics, I was working as a door-to-door canvasser. Job teaches you a lot. You knock on doors, rain or shine. You meet people exactly where they are. Some are eager to talk, some slam the door right in your face. Most people were somewhere in between, tired, frustrated, skeptical. I'd ask them about issues they care about. Healthcare came up all the time. Wages, the cost of living. A lot of people wanted things that weren't radical at all. Fair pay, affordable housing, decent schools, the ability to see a doctor without going broke, basic dignity. But here's what struck me. So many people felt helpless. They'd say, yeah, I care, but nothing ever changes. Can't fight City Hall. Politicians don't listen to people like me. Why should I even bother? That right there is apathy in action. Not because people didn't care. Clearly they did. They cared very deeply. But because they've been conditioned to believe that their voice didn't matter. That the system was so broken, why bother engaging with it? And that belief, that resignation is contagious. When your neighbor stops voting, it makes you question whether your vote even matters. When your friends stop talking about politics, it makes you feel like the odd one for caring. Voter turnout drops. Fewer people show up to town halls. Civic engagement shrinks. And regular people stop showing up, someone else fills the space. Lobbyists, corporations, billionaires, special interests. The vacuum doesn't stay empty. It's like leaving your house unlocked. You don't notice anything's missing at first, but over time, the wrong people walk in and make themselves at home. That's what we allowed to happen to our democracy. And here's the kicker. Apathy doesn't mean just not voting. It means not paying attention to local politics, to school boards, to city councils. That's where all the real power gets exercised. But that's where turnout is the lowest. Apathy at the bottom of the system ripples all the way to the top. So when I think back at those conversations on porches and living rooms standing on people's doorsteps, I don't remember the blank stares of people who didn't care. I remember people who've been worn down, people who felt invisible. When enough people feel invisible, they stop participating. That's how apathy takes root. Now let's talk about one of the biggest reasons why we're in this mess today. Money in politics, the media, and the way that oligarchs have weaponized social media against us. For decades, we've been told that America is a democracy, that our voice matters, that one person's equals one vote. But for being honest, what really drives politics today? Is it the will of the people, or is it the size of your bank account? Campaigns cost millions, sometimes billions. The candidate who rises to the top is the one with the donors with the deepest pockets. Money buys access. Money buys airtime. Money buys influence. And over time, the average citizen, the kind of person I met when I was canvassing door to door, they feel like they've been pushed further and further to the margins. People want policies that help working families, that improve healthcare, that make life a little less stressful. But their voices get drowned out by corporate lobbyists writing the checks. And then there's the media. Traditional media used to be a check on power. But now, News networks are owned by billion-dollar corporations that thrive on ratings, not truth. They figured out the formula. Outrage sells. Division sells. If they can pit one group against another, if they can keep you glued to the screen in anger, they make money. And here's where my personal background comes in. I work in software. I've helped build social media platforms. I've seen firsthand how algorithms and bots can sway people. Algorithms aren't neutral. They're designed to maximize engagement. And engagement doesn't come from calm discussion on balanced perspectives. It comes from rage, fear, and anxiety. When you doom scroll through your feed, the algorithm is watching you and reacting to you. Did you click on the story that made you furious? Did you share the post that confirmed your worst suspicions? Good. The system just learned to feed more of it to you. Just like a drug. Not because it's true, not because it's healthy, but because it keeps you scrolling, it keeps you coming back. Then there's where the bots pour gasoline on the fire. Relatively small number of automated accounts can make it look like a movement is a lot larger than it really is, or a narrative has massive grassroots supports when in reality it doesn't, and it's manufactured. It tricks the algorithm into amplifying their posts, pushing them into millions of feeds. Before long, people start believing that this is what the majority must think. This must be real, when it's manipulation at massive scale. I know how this works because I've worked on the code. I've seen the guts of these systems. I can tell you that they are designed from the ground up to be addictive, divisive, and profitable. Now combine that with the oligarchs who understand how to use those tools. They pour money into political ads. They pay influencers to spread propaganda. They create think tanks to legitimize extreme ideas to divide you. And because of social media, those ideas spread faster than ever before, often without real fact-checking or accountability. The result, we have an electorate that's not only uninformed, but misinformed. People aren't apathetic because they don't care. They're apathetic because they feel powerless, because they're confused, because they're exhausted from trying to sort through the lies. And that exhaustion is exactly what the people in power want. Because if you're too tired to fight back, if you're too divided, fighting with your neighbor, if you're too busy about that meme you saw online, then the billionaires and politicians can do exactly what they've been doing, hoarding wealth and consolidating power. Where do we go from here? After all this, the apathy, the manipulation, the money in politics, the media corruption, where do we go? How do we break out of this cycle? I'll tell you what gives me hope: art, culture, and people who refuse to be silenced. And that brings me to music. For me, one of those bands has always been Sick of It All. Legendary hardcore punk band from New York City. They have this amazing song called Look Around. The message of the track is simple but powerful. Wake up. Stop ignoring what's happening. Stop sleepwalking through life while corruption, greed, and division tears everything apart. The song is a rallying cry, a reminder that we're not powerless, that the first step to taking back control is actually paying attention. When I listen and look around, I hear the urgency. The guitars are sharp, the drums are relentless, the vocals are raw, and that energy is exactly what politics needs. Punk has always been about calling bullshit on the system that keeps us down. And Sick of It All didn't just sing about the rebellion, they lived it. They toured relentlessly, they built community, they gave people an outlet for their frustration and their hope. And isn't that what we need in politics right now? We need people to stop buying the lies, to stop letting billionaires and algorithms divide us into enemies. We need people to look around literally at their neighbors, their coworkers, their families, and realize we have way more in common with each other than we do with the politicians who claim to represent us. The powers want us to fight over scraps. They want us to blame the person next to us instead of the billionaire who's pulling the strings. They want us tired, distracted, too dumb to notice what's really going on. But songs like Look Around cut through the noise. They remind us that awareness is the first step to change. I've always believed that politics isn't just what happens in Washington or Albany or your state capital. Politics is cultural. Politics is local. Politics is personal. It's what you see when you actually look around and talk to people in your community. And that's why art, whether it's a hardcore punk song or a mural on the side of the building, matters. It sparks something inside of us that can't be controlled by money or media manipulation. So where do we go from here? We start by refusing to be apathetic. We start by educating ourselves, by supporting independent media, by holding leaders accountable. But most importantly, we start by reconnecting with each other, by realizing the person across the street isn't your enemy. If you take nothing else from this episode, take this. Don't let yourself be lulled into silence. Don't scroll past corruption like it's another headline. Don't believe that your voice doesn't matter, because it does. And every movement in history, every real change started with people who are fed up enough to look around and say, no more. That's where we go from here. So what do we do about all this? It's one thing to rant about politics, money, media, manipulation. Trust me, I could rant all day. But we need real solutions. And here's the truth. Change isn't coming from staring at screens all day. We got to get offline. We got to stop living in the comment section and start living in our communities again. Doesn't mean turning out from the world. It means showing up in person. It means doing small but powerful things. Go to the local farmer's market in your town. Hit up the little rock club at the dive bar down the street. Check out the Italian festival on Main Street. Those aren't just events. They're opportunities to connect, to meet your neighbors, to remember that the world is bigger and better than whatever headline or algorithm is trying to piss you off today. And once you start building those real-world connections, that's when organizing becomes possible. Find the people who share your values. Talk about what matters in your community. Maybe it's healthcare. Maybe it's housing. Maybe it's just making sure the local park isn't full of trash. Whatever it is, start there. And yes, that also means stepping into the world of politics. I know for some people that sounds intimidating. Maybe it sounds boring. But city councils, town halls, school board meetings, these are where all the decisions get made that impact your life every single day. Want your roads fixed? Want better schools? Want accountability for the local cops or the mayor? It all starts in those rooms. And you don't just have to sit back and clap or boo. You can speak up. You can ask questions. You can demand answers. And you can find the leaders who actually align with your interests and then support them. That's why I cut my teeth in politics. I started as a door-to-door canvasser, knocking on doors, listening to people's stories. I heard from people who were struggling, people who felt abandoned, people who wanted change but didn't believe it was possible. And every time I had one of those conversations, I realized something. The only way anything changes is if we show up. Not just online, but in person. Volunteering, canvassing, organizing. It's not glamorous, it's not easy, but it works. It's how movements are built. So here's my challenge to you. This week, do one thing offline for your community. Go meet someone. Go to an event. Go to a council meeting. Just do one thing, because that's how apathy dies. That's how communities become alive again. And that's how we stop being manipulated and start taking back control of our lives and our political system.